Okay, we're beginning on the frame, and we have our cloth laid out. Ideally, the cloth would be continuously laid out, like on the dining room table, so that you don't have to shift it. Once you iron it in place, it would be ideal not to have to touch it between then and measuring. I don't have that luxury right now. So let's say we do have it laid out, and having it laid out, we then iron it. Doesn't matter which side we iron it on. We iron the whole thing, and I've pre-ironed this one, so I won't worry about that anymore. And like we did before, we want to start with a square corner. Now I think the important thing here is to get a good baseline down the bottom. And I'm just going to double check before I get started. We have our chart with our measurements on it. What I really want is on the end, I want to make sure it's at least 10.4. And yes, this is larger than it needs to be, so I have it 10.4. That's 8.4 right in here, plus 1 and 1. Okay? 1 are the areas that are allowed for sewing, so they don't have to be precise. So I'm going to make sure that I have a nice flat line along the bottom. And going to have to trust here. And I'm going to make something that's about about a centimeter down there. And then I have my handy dandy, let's see, make sure this is as flat as possible. My ceramic pencil, well, seems to be curved to me. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to have trust that that was the cutting. We draw our baseline. Yes, the number one reason that I'm trying to be so precise with these measurements and not moving it and all of that, the number one reason is because that's what I've been told by my very experienced sewing instructors, that they just say, believe me, this is going to save you a lot of time in the future if you do this and get this exactly right. And here's what we're aiming for. That frame that we're making will be this frame that goes around the face plate. And here I have another partially made one where the frame has actually been put on it. And having that frame fit exactly makes things very much easier, I'm told. In fact, if it's of a millimeter or two off, what they tell me is that when you go to put it on the face plate, you actually have to just get rid of it and start over. So really the answer to the question is why I'm being so precise is because I've been told it's important. Okie doke. And yes, you're right. It seems that you mute me when you mute you. So I don't know what's going on. So now I'm going to get a square corner here, best I can.
The pumpkin one?
Now that we have that, we're going to measure up from here 8.4. Okay. I'm going to do it the other way around. This is where having a really small one would be useful too, huh?
Don't you need to do the 1 millimeter first?
That's what I'm calling this, Hunter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's hard to see.
Pardon
So
me?
you have 2 lines at the bottom, 2 horizontal lines?
No, I just have one. I'm calling that, whatever that is, below the straight line, I'm calling that one.
Oh, okay.
You with me? You with me?
Yes,
It's
yeah,
that,
exactly. There's no reason to cut 2. Okay.
and
So the first thing is you salvage whatever that line is.
yeah, is that what that's called, is salvage?
I think so.
Yeah, that's what we've been calling it, yeah.
Okay, yeah, and it's probably not exactly straight, and it's not always 1 centimeter by any means. Down at one end it is a little bit different. So, and even if your cuts are choppy and it's what gets sewn under, so it's not super critical, right?
Yes, got it.
Yeah, good question. I mean, you could do it the other way, right? It would be fine if you drew a bunch of lines, but there's no need, and you don't need to sacrifice that much cloth. Okay, so 8, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and then I'm going to go here. I am going to go to 9.4.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Now, ideally, if I had one humongous ruler, I'd do it on the other end, right?
Yeah.
And wonk. So I'm going to take your advice, and I'm going to go down 36 inches. Anyway, you can see where we're going with all of this, right? In this case, and I got mine a little dirty here. So now we want to measure the lengthwise measurements, and that's where we go to our chart. And what's fun, and I think most every time I've done this, it's not only fun, it's also effective, is someone reads the numbers out and the other person marks them, which is kind of fun. Do you guys have your chart there?
Yeah.
Yes.
Could you read my numbers out for me?
Sure.
And I'll mark it. Let me, so I'll be marking on both the top and the bottom, but okay, go for it.
You want
So start with 1.
1 and then 5.2.
Well, hang on.
He's got to mark the ones first.
I'm going to actually mark the 1. I'm going to keep the 1 in there. 5.2. Hang on, let me. I'm challenged with the glare. Okay, much better. 5.2.
Yes.
5.2. Next.
31.1.
31.1. Next.
39.5.
39.5. Next.
55.7.
55.7. Okay, now my ruler is run out, so I'm going to, I'm going to put that at 5.7.
Well, or we could just give you the absolute numbers. That's the other way to do it.
That seems better, doesn't it, Hunter? But then I'm going to have to keep shifting the ruler.
Whichever way works better for you is fine.
Okay, I'm going to go to 5.7 and see what that means. So my 5.7 is really 55.7, right? So if I added one more, if you said 56.7, it would be right there. Let's try this. What's the next one?
64.1.
64.1?
Uh-huh.
I guess I am confused already. going to go with Hunter's method.
Okay, so the absolute number is 8.4.
Thank you. Gotcha.
The next number you're gonna add to that is 25.9.
Okay.
The next number is going to be 8.4.
Okay.
The next number is 16.2.
That's 16.2.
Yes.
Okay.
4.2.
Okay.
1.
Do the same thing on the top.
I was going to tell you 13.
Let's do it again.
Okay.
Let's get as
Do
far
one.
as we can with the cumulative ones. Okay.
1.
1.
5.2.
5.2.
31.1.
31.1. Oh, whoop, that's wrong. And actually, there's an eraser on here. That's pretty
Cool.
darn effective. 31.1. Okay.
39.5.
39.5.
55.7.
55.7. And this is where we start with our individual measurements. Okay.
8.4.
8.4. Okay.
25.9.
25.9. Okay.
8.4.
8.4.
Yeah.
Okay.
16.2.
16.2. Okay.
4.2.
4.2. Okay.
1.
1. Now we should be able to see that these are square when we draw the line. I'm going to start with this one down here just to... Me, they're a little tiny bit off, but I'm not going to worry about it. There we go. I'm going to join these lines. You can see they're not as ideal as I...
Error marker.
Still not real happy with this.
$6.88 on Amazon.
$7. $7, huh?
And we're Prime members, so we can get it tomorrow.
Yeah, it specifically calls it a Japanese error marker.
Yeah. Probably can get it for the same price on eBay and not support Amazon, but I'm not going to be militant. I've been buying everything. I've been buying everything on eBay.
What did you just call that, Hunter?
Hera, Japanese Hera marker.
Okay, so that's the pen marker thing.
No, this is a ceramic sewing pencil.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Okay.
No, this is something completely different. That's a Hera.
Oh, okay.
Two different things, really.
All right. Is there a brand name on your pencil marker?
Yes, there is actually. It's Sewline, Sewline.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. You know how it is with tools, Billy. A good tool makes the job easier. So now we cut along the outside line here for the appropriate length. And then we cut along that line along the top. And that 1 centimeter is going to be allowed for sewing. Of course, you could measure it. To be careful, you could measure it twice, all those measurements. And I'm seeing how you can get cumulative errors with our method of having to scoot the ruler along. So,
Yeah, we measured 2 or 3 or 4 times.
right.
And then
Okay, now I'm going to move along to the next step here. We have this. Now this is where the picture might help. It's certainly going to help me, so I'm going to get it out. Okay, now on this very end down here, we measure on the inside of the selvage lines. We come to the middle, which is 4.2. Okay. We make a mark at 4.2. Now, the next thing we're going to do, what the Hera does, as I understand it, is the Hera, I'll just say this, and I'll show you the example I have here. Well, let me show you the example I have now. Let's see if, okay, this is the unmarked side of the cloth, and the Hera makes a line so strong that it shows up on the other side. So this is the side that the white lines are drawn on, and it's not working.
oh yes, there it shows up. Yeah, it's a cross going across from one side to the other.
Yes.
That's not done with a pencil.
Yeah. Okay.
That's done with the Hera, and it shows on both sides.
Okay.
Okay.
What's most important is that it shows on the back side.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, no, we could see it now. Yeah, it went from one diagonal.
Kind of get the idea there? So we
Yeah.
take our square and our Hera now, and this is going to start from this point and go to the 4.2 right there, right?
I didn't get why you marked 4.2.
Because we're going to draw this little doink like this. Because if you 4.2 is the middle of this line, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so then we go from here to here. It's sort of like an arrow point or something. I don't know what you'd call it. And we mark with the Hera here.
Yeah.
And then we come from here to here. And we mark with the Hera. Now, we continue that process, and we go across here from this corner to this corner. Now we don't need to mark a 4.2 because we're going to get the center, right?
Right.
We go here. You go here.
Keep doing it all the way across.
Each of those spots where it folds. It's creating the corners for the.
Right.
Here. Here. Okay, now we're down to here, and we have to get this right in the center here, so we have to measure 4.2. Does it make more sense now, Vicki?
Yeah. Yeah, I see 4.2 is half of the 8.4 that we started off with.
Right.
Yeah.
Now I got to make sure I make it the right way. It points that way, so it goes here. Then I'm going to go down back to the other one and make sure I did it correctly. So 4.2
No.
goes there. And here and here. Here and here. Now, deep breath. We're not going to do anything that's typically radical, but I did do it right on both ends. Now, the final step for what we're doing today is we fold it in on itself, in on the marks, okay? And then we're going to pin and sew these two things together. You catching me here?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start in the middle. I'm recalling now that that's the critical place. So right at that corner at 4.2, let's put our first pin in there. Little tiny things like this add up, you know, being precise here, being precise there, getting this. The fellow who told me this, I don't know how many he makes, but they're doing a 5-day sewing session where they're just sewing for 5 days straight, day and night. So you can imagine he's done this for years, how many times he's done this. So pinning that center one first, you know, gives you just a tiny bit more precision, I guess. And then making sure that the corners are then lined up.
So your chalk line is on the inside of that loop?
Exactly.
That's what I was wondering too.
Okay. Put one in. So the idea of a back stitch, as these folks call it, now here I can put the knot out in the selvage, not worry too much. And so the back stitch comes back a 1/2 centimeter. Now I wish I'd drawn a line here now. So what I'm thinking is I should have done a Hera line on the inside, okay?
Yeah.
On those so that it would come out on the outside. So since this is actually just a test piece, I can see more or less where that point goes. It's actually where those go. So I'm going to draw myself a line real quickly here. But you know, again, it's like a running stitch, only it comes back. I'm not going to do that. Comes back. And is this somewhat visible?
I don't understand what you mean by back, I guess.
Well, I'll say it out loud and then I'll do it both. And I just pulled my thread out of my needle. There you go, Billy. My thread get as close to the camera as possible. But can you see that at all?
Yeah, it's sort of blurry to me, but
So once you've come up, you go,
Okay.
it's like it is a running stitch, except you go backwards first.
So you go a little bit behind where your thread came out.
Exactly. You go halfway behind and then you come forward.
About the same amount in front, and then you.
Yeah. So
Oh, back.
it doubles over and it's tighter, right?
No, that's not it. What we did was basting before, where you continue
No, I'm
running.
talking about when we did the face. Back when we started this whole enterprise.
Namokiyo Butsu, that's
Yeah.
different because there you go right on top of the other stitch.
Oh,
Here he's going behind the
So he's
stitch
going-
halfway.
so he's going further back with this.
And you don't have to go up and down. It's just straight. It's just straight across.
Oh, okay.
So you're continually moving forward with this, but going
But your
back.
insertion is.
Your insertion is
the-
behind, and then you come forward,
Okay.
behind, come forward, behind. Whereas with Namokiyo Butsu thing, when you come back out, you go.
I've already cut it.
Yeah.
So it's exactly where it comes to a point.
Right.
Okay. We outside, pick up the one that I had finished. What happens next is that this then gets, where I've just sewn it,
Yeah.
this gets opened up and ironed flat. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Once that's opened up and ironed flat, and we have it inside out, and I'll just say the way they say it just for fun, to repeat, we're going to take a two-dimensional object and turn it into a three-dimensional object.
Yeah, that's why this has to be so exact. It's coming clear.
Yes. So I'm going to just try playing a little bit. I haven't actually done it. You know, we take it like this, and basically we have to then go like that, and you can see how you may be able to see a little bit how this is going to be turning into a frame. You see?
Yeah.
Can you see what happened there?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why it has to be so exact, because it's got to, yeah. Oh, jeez.
So then this, and so once we get to this point, we'll do this next. We'll sew this frame so that we then have our frame. See how it turns right into a frame?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then we'll slip in we'll slip in what we did before. Here's that frame now, pinned on top of the silk. It's all pinned on. I slipped the silk inside that frame, and then we start to stitch the frame to the silk.
Wow.
Cool.
Isn't it?